Speaker number 8, Vivien Ip, Mistaken Identity. Mistaken Identity, Vivien Ip.
Have you ever been mistaken for somebody else? Maybe it's a friend or a relative that looks a lot like you. Or perhaps a stranger has thought you're somebody else entirely. Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, I'm here today to tell you of the story of how I was mistaken for that someone else. Back in high school, I thought for once in my life I would go and get some exercise. So I drove myself to the local pool. It's a Saturday afternoon, so the place is packed. I go into the change room, put my bag down onto the bench, and I am staring up at the wall of lockers, trying to figure out which one is actually empty. Out of the corner of my eye, I see this woman approach me, and she says, "Excuse me." "Oh, okay," she said, "excuse me." So I turn to face her, mentally preparing myself for the question that she has my way. "Excuse me, this is the women's change room." Okay, why is she telling me something that I already know? Unfortunately, this was my pre-Toastmaster days, so the first thing that was out of my mouth was, "Huh?" She's still standing there. "This is the women's change room." Oh, now I see what she's trying to get at. Once I understand that, I get my tongue back, so to speak. So my second reply to this lady is, "Oh, this is the women's change room? Why, thank you. That means I am in the right place." She never says anything after that. Just glares at me suspiciously, slowly turns, and walks away. It was a weird exchange, to be sure. Not 30 seconds later, this female lifeguard comes rushing into the women's change room. She has a good look at every single person that is still left in the place. I didn't pay much attention at that time, but I realized later that lady had probably gone out to the front counter and said, "There is this perverted young man that is refusing to leave the women's change room." Monday morning comes, and I am telling this anomaly of a story to my friends. One of them burst out, "Yes! When I first came to this high school, I saw you walk through that door. I thought you were a guy too." Yeah, that is supposed to help the situation. How? But it wasn't an anomaly. A couple years later, I'm with my mother at a restaurant, and the lady at the table beside us starts asking us for our advice on what to order. So my mother, the extrovert, strikes up this wonderful conversation with this woman. By the end of the meal, this lady is just so touched, not only because we gave her such great advice on what to order, but also because this lady could clearly see my mother has such a wonderful son that treated her out to lunch. Take a wild guess who she thought that son was. The scary part about that story is I had walked into that restaurant carrying a purse. A blue Hello Kitty purse. So that got me thinking, if 3 people had all thought the same wrong thing about me, what was I doing to give off that wrong impression? Was it the fact that I do not have a single item of pink or purple in my closet? Or was it the fact that I have some gestures or stances that are arguably confusing? Or was it the fact that I always seemed to forget birthdays and anniversaries? But through all these years of analysis and reanalysis, I still could not figure it out. However, I was slowly starting to remember something. I was starting to remember that I am perfectly happy and comfortable in my own skin, most days. If a stranger took one look at me and decided for themselves that the way I dressed and everything else about my personality was only found in the other gender, why was it my job to have to convince them otherwise? I don't think it is. I figure as long as I am happy and comfortable, trying to be the best version of myself, isn't that what matters in the end? So I took that newfound confidence with me, and it lasted until recently when I met up with some friends. On a cold spring morning, our meetup point was in Vancouver. Since I'm from Surrey and the furthest one away, I'm the first one there. I am so early, in fact, I figure I have enough time to go and get some coffee. So I walk up to the closest coffee shop, McDonald's in this case, go inside and order my usual. The girl at the front counter is awesome. She is fast, polite, and efficient. She takes my order. At the end, she double checks with me and says, "You have ordered a coffee and muffin combo. Will that be everything for you, sir?" She takes a second glance at me, realizes her mistake, and goes, "I mean, ma'am." In that moment, the only thing that is crossing my mind is, really? You think I look old enough to be called a ma'am to you?